Hi, I'm Meg. Welcome to Plant Fit Meg. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about how to incorporate more greenery into your life, more leafy green vegetables, cruciferous vegetables. They're so good for us, they're so nutritious, and I know that I really did not like vegetables at all for a really long time, and I particularly disliked green vegetables. So I thought this would be a great video to share for anyone who doesn't like those green vegetables, or maybe your kids don't enjoy them, and how to incorporate them into your diet and make them enjoyable. So here are my top tips. Let's get right into it. So my first tip is to actually start with green vegetables that you already enjoy. So if there are any green vegetables that you can think of, and also cauliflower is included in this, so keep that in mind because it is a cruciferous vegetable. If there are any green vegetables that you do currently enjoy, start there. Start with the ones that you do like, and then gradually try different ones and expand from there and incorporate more greens into your life as you go. Sometimes when we want to make a change and we want to do something positive for ourselves, we take a big leap and we make a big commitment to ourselves. Maybe I would say to myself, oh, I'll eat a big giant kale salad every day. And then once I get into eating it, it's, oh, I'm actually not a huge fan of kale. Now what? And then instead of just giving up on that, it's okay, start with what I actually do enjoy and branch out from there. And start small. You don't have to all of a sudden eat giant salads and eat tons and tons of greens right away. I recommend starting small and gradually incorporating more greenery into your diet and into your meals. This can be as simple as adding greens to your burgers, your wraps, your sandwiches. It doesn't have to be a huge amount to start with, but any amount is better than nothing. It's great to start small as a starting point. Somewhat related to that is a waste point that I want to insert here. So if you're starting small and you're not eating a ton of greenery and you think that it's going to go bad before you get through it all, not to worry. You can throw it in your freezer and use it later, and it will still be good. You can use it in smoothies or soups, and it will be delicious, and you can use it that way. No worries about your greens going bad before you get to them. Another tip I have is to start with milder greens. So some greens are a little bit more mild in flavor. For example, the baby versions, the baby spinach and the baby kale, are a little bit milder and less bitter. So if you're just getting started, they can be a great starting point. I once made the mistake of adding a mixed green mix to my smoothie in the morning without realizing that it had arugula in it. And arugula has this peppery kind of flavor, which I actually really like in savory dishes and things like that. But in my smoothie, it was not good. So that's something to watch out for. Maybe don't put arugula in your smoothies. Save arugula for a more savory dish and a savory usage. I also think people underestimate how much greenery they can get into them by simply chopping it really finely. When you have these big leaves and they're just full, big, not chopped at all, they can be sort of difficult to eat, and there's a lot of chewing involved, and it can just be a lot. So chopping them up really finely can make them so much easier to eat and so much easier to just throw into pretty much anything that you're eating, from soups to chilies to stir fries, pastas, hash browns, mixing it up into your quinoa or your rice. There's so many different ways that you can easily incorporate greens into your meals, especially when it's chopped really finely. Another good way to add more greenery into your diet is to hide them. You can easily hide greens, especially if you don't like the texture of greens. You can blend them up into a smoothie, blend them up into soups, blend them up into dips or sauces. Depending on what the other ingredients are in your recipe, it might make your recipe a funky color. It might turn everything green, or I've had some really ugly smoothies that are like grayish, brownish, and they don't look maybe the most appetizing, or they look like they're chocolatey, but they're not. They just have greenery with, let's say, berries and banana and things like this in it. So that's just something to be aware of. But that's a great way to boost your nutrition and to increase the amount of greens that you have in your diet without even really noticing it or tasting it at all. I also recommend rethinking salads. Sometimes when we think of salads, we just think of green, boring, nothing really going on with it, not exciting, not yummy. And I think salads should be jam-packed full of delicious ingredients eat the rainbow, so have that greenery in there and then add all your favorite vegetables. Maybe you love bell peppers or shredded carrot or red onion or any other number of delicious vegetables that you can add. Also, thinking beyond vegetables when you're making a salad is really, really important to make it a full, balanced, nourishing meal that tastes so, so good. So think about adding a whole grain, like adding some brown rice or some quinoa, adding some potatoes to your salad, adding tofu or tempeh or some beans, and then topping it off with a delicious sauce, a delicious dressing, your favorite dressing that you really love. It'll make eating greens and eating salads so much more enjoyable. I used to hate salads so much. I did not like them, and now I love them, and it's because I have changed the way that I make them and added so much more to them to make them more exciting and more delicious. You could also consider serving your meal on a bed of greens. I particularly like to do this with things like soups and chilies and pasta even. And then I just mix all that greenery into the dish, and the greens are there. They add a little bit of texture, a little bit of crispness, but they don't really impact the overall flavor profile or the overall taste of the dish. So I really like to do that because it's a really easy way to just get some greens in and still enjoy a delicious meal. Another tip I have is to try your vegetables in a new way. So if you've only ever had them raw, try them cooked and prepared maybe in a few different ways. And vice versa, if you've only ever had them cooked in a certain way, try eating them raw or try eating them cooked using a different method. I always seem to come back to the example of Brussels sprouts, but I think it's a really good one that a lot of people can relate to. I think I mentioned it in my How to Eat More Vegetables video as well, so I'll link that up here in case you haven't seen it or you'd like to check it out. But Brussels sprouts are a great example of this. A lot of us have experienced the sad, boiled, green, kind of grayish, not delicious Brussels sprouts. If you like them, eat them that way, no judgment. But for me, I was not loving it, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. But once I started roasting my Brussels sprouts, and now that I have an air fryer and I can just throw Brussels sprouts in the air fryer, I absolutely love them. And of course, I top them with a delicious spice or seasoning or sauce to make them even more delicious. So don't leave your greens sad or plain or boring. Really add flavors that you love. Add seasonings, sauces, and or dressings that you absolutely love so that you will love your vegetables too. My last tip here is to mix greens with other foods that you enjoy. So maybe you chop up greens really finely and you mix them up with corn and rice and beans. Or my favorite way to do this is adding spinach or kale to my mashed potatoes, and I just chop it up really finely. I mash my potatoes first and then I put the chopped greenery in and just mix it in, and it's really yummy and it looks kind of fun too with the green and the white potato, and it's just really delicious. Hash browns are another good one for if you love potatoes and then you just add a little bit of greenery to your shredded potato before you cook it up, and it kind of melds in with the potatoes and whatever spices you're using, and it tastes amazing. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any tips for ideas for eating more greens and making them more delicious, leave your top tips below because I want to hear them, and I'm sure everyone watching wants to hear your experience as well. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, interact with the video in some kind of way. Stick around on the channel to check out some other videos while you're here. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!